good day to Dr. Fatima. So right now we will present our assignment 2, which is Morphology and Syntax Analysis for subject English Morphology and Syntax BTSL 1213. So before we begin, I would like to introduce me and my partner name. So my name is Priscilla Asif and my partner name is Christy Won. Okay, before we begin, I would like to talk about our overview for presentation slides. So the first one will be introduction, which I will talk about the meaning of morphology and syntax, and I will a little bit talk about the background from movie scene that we choose. So the second one is I will show Doctor our transcription based on the movie scene that we selected a few sentences for our analysis. So the third one will be morphology analysis. So in this morphology analysis, I will talk about 4 topics, which is free and bound morphemes. Second one is roots, prefixes and suffixes, and the third one is inflection and derivation, and the last one is word formation processes, which is including affixation, compounding, and contraction. And then move to the next part is syntax analysis that will be covered will be covered by my partner. So she will talk about sentence structure, phrase type, 3 diagram example, grammatical function, and the last one is constituency test. And then we will give our conclusions and we will also show Doctor our references. Okay, now let's move on to the next part, which is introduction. So basically, morphology is the branch of linguistics that studies about structure and a formation of words, while syntax, also a branch of linguistics, but it is studies about the rules for arranging words into phrases and sentences. So I will talk about a little bit of our presentation. So this presentation will analyze the morphology and syntax of a short dialogue taken from the movie Little Moment 2019. So this film is basically a romance genre that the main character will be Cyrus Ronan and Emma Watson and Florence Pugh as her sisters. So we selected this movie because the language is natural and the dialogue expresses strong emotion using a variety of word, form, and sentence type. Our focus in this report is on both morphological and syntactic aspect of the dialogue. For morphology, we identify morphemes in the transcript, classify them as a free or bound, describe roots, prefixes, suffixes, and explain word formation processes. While syntax, we will analyze how words are combined to form phrases and sentences. This includes identifying phrase types, sentence types, grammatical functions such as subject, object, complement, and agent, and applying constituency tests. We will also use phrase structure trees to show the structure of selected sentences. So now let's move on to the next part, which is the chosen scene and transcription. So in this scene occurs when 2 characters that we will label A and B discuss an important decision about their future. So speaker B wants to get married and build a stable life, while speaker A is afraid of losing their close relationship, the bonds of sister-love. So this conversation shows a conflict between different dreams and priorities. So this side will be the transcription of the scene is as follows. Let's move to the next context, which is morphological analysis. So in this morphological analysis, let's go into the morphemes that include free bound and bound morphemes. So a morpheme is the smallest unit of meaning in a word. So some morphemes can stand alone as words that we call it free bounds, while some morphemes cannot stand alone, so we call it bound morphemes. So in this analysis, we found that the free morphemes from the scene is, I have selected 4 categories. So the first one will be noun. So the nouns is home, family, dream, year, and a name, which is John. For verbs is we have run, want, get, marry, love, and others. For adjective here we got also for bored, different, interesting, and unimportant. So basically this form can stand alone and carry a basic meaning in the dialogue. For bound morphemes, we have found in this transcription. So the first one will be plural suffix. So plural suffix, we got the /s, which is the example words is years and dreams. The second one is prefix "un." So "un" we found in the sentences is unimportant. "Un" is prefix and important is the free bounds. So the third one is we have suffix ing. So from the sentence in the dialogue, we found that the example of words is living and willing. We got, I will explain. So living, live is the roots and ing is the suffix, which is the bound morphemes. So these morphemes cannot appear alone because they must attach to a root or a base word to express their tense. Right, now let's move to the roots, suffixes, and prefixes. So here, a root is the central part of a word that carries the main meaning. A prefix is a prefix attached before the root, and suffix is attached after the root. So here, doctor can see our example here. So I already attached a table, so easy to understand. So I will explain one example from the table. So I will talk about the actress. So actress, the root will be egg. Prefix don't have prefix but have suffix which is res. So when the root combined with the suffix will be actress. So yeah, the suffix forms a noun reference to a female. So egg and actress, when it be combined, it will change the meaning, which is a female lip. Now let's move on to the next part, which is inflection. So inflection adds grammatical information to a word such as number, tense, or aspect. So basically, inflection doesn't change meaning, it just changes the grammatical. So here I also attached the table. So we have transcript word, morphological structure, and grammatical meaning. So I will give one example from the table, which is stories. So the root of stories is story, and the inflection adds on is a numbers, which is s. So when story and numbers aspect s combined together, it will be stories. So which is means more than one story, but still in the same category without changing the meaning. Now let's move to the next part, which is derivation. So what is derivation? So derivation is a process in which an affix is added to a base word to create a new brand of meaning. So basically, derivation is changing meaning, the word's meaning. So here we have the example in the table, and I will pick one which is unimportant. So the morphological structure is un plus important. Important is the root and the un is the prefix. So the prefix un changes the meaning to not important. So basically, un bring meaning a negative way. So when it combined with the roots important, it will be not important. Now let's move to the word formation processes. So from this, I have divided by 3 categories. So the first one is a fixation. So a fixation is a same with derivation, which is the process of attaching a prefix or suffix to a root or base word. It is the main process found in this dialogue. So here I already attached the example. So we have unimportant, extras, stories, dream, years, married, and living. So a fixation is used for both derivation and inflection. For example, unimportant and extras show derivational affixation, while stories, dreams, years, and living show inflectional affixation. Now let's move to the next subtopic, which is compounding. So compounding is when 2 morphemes join together to make one word. So here I have attached the 2 examples, which is anything and forever. So for anything, they have 2 words here, which is anything and any and thing. So both any and thing can occur independently, but together they form the compound indefinite will be pronoun anything. So in the line I will do anything, this word means anything or action whatever. Same goes to forever, which is have 4 words, which is for plus ever. Now I will talk about the last subtopic in word formation processes, which is contraction. So contractions is combine 2 words into a shorter spoken forms. They make the dialogue sound natural and in formal. So here I already attached the example in table. So for construction we have I'll, let's, doesn't, they are, I am, you are. So in the full forms it will be I will, let us, does not, they are, I am, and you are.
Next, we are moving on to the syntax and starting off with the sentence structure. Now, how do we determine the structure in a sentence is by how the words, clauses, and phrases are arranged in that sentence. There are four main types, which are simple, compound, complex, and compound complex. Now, we look at the three simple sentence examples. The first one is we can leave. Now, this is a simple sentence because it has one subject being we and one predicate being can leave. Secondly, let's just run away together. This expresses a full thought, while the third one, don't leave, can stand. It's a simple sentence because it can stand alone. By looking at these three simple sentence examples, they all have the same traits in them, which is why they're simple sentence. Next, the two compound sentences are two simple sentences combined with the conjunction. The conjunction being the word and. For example, and you should be an actress, and you should have a life on the stage. The simple sentence is you should be an actress, and the other one is you should have a life on the stage combined with and. Secondly, you will be bored of him in 2 years. That is the first simple sentence. And we will be interesting forever. That is the second simple sentence. And lastly, on complex, just because my dreams are different than yours doesn't mean they are unimportant. This is a complex sentence because it has an independent clause that can stand alone and dependent clause that cannot stand alone. The dependent one is just because my dreams are different than yours, while the independent is just doesn't mean they are unimportant. Next is phrase type. Now, a phrase itself is a group of words that can add meaning into a sentence, but it cannot stand alone as a complete sentence. And there are different phrase types, which you can see noun, verb, adjective, adverb, and prepositional. And how we determine phrase types is um, what the main word is placed in that sentence. For example, in the noun phrase, the two noun phrase examples are we and you. By we and you are being the head word of the noun phrase. Next, on verb phrase, the two examples are can leave and should be an actress. For can leave, the word can is the head, the verb of the phrase, while should be an actress should is the main head, the verb of the verb phrase. While next on adjective phrase, the head word of interesting forever is interesting because it is the adjective in that phrase. An example of adverb phrase, however, we can see is together. While together acts as the adverb, since together is an adverb, it acts as the adverb phrase itself. And lastly, on prepositional phrase, on the stage and in 2 years. So on the stage, on is the prepositional, meaning the head word, while in is the head word of the phrase, since it is the prepositional. Next, we are looking at two tree diagram examples. There's an example for simple sentence and example for compound sentence. Now, for simple, we can look in the sentence, I want to get married. So by um, let's separate the phrases. So the noun phrase is I being the noun, and the verb phrase is want to get married, while want is a verb, and to get also is like a verb phrase. So it's also a verb in it, while married is the adjective phrase. So for the compound sentence, we can see that there's two simple sentence tree diagrams combined while also mentioning the conjunction being and. In the first sentence, the noun phrase is you, while the verb phrase is will be bored of him in 2 years. You can see will be is the auxiliary and the main verb, and there's an adjective phrase which adjective is bored. And in the adjective phrase, there's two prepositional phrases. The first is of him, of being the prepositional, him is a noun. The other one, in 2 years, the preposition is in. Two is a number, while years is considered a noun. Adding the conjunction and, we look at the second sentence. The noun phrase is we, and the verb phrase is will be interesting forever. Will be is the auxiliary verb, while there's an adjective phrase, which is the adjective interesting, and there's an adverb forever. Moving on to the grammatical functions. A grammatical function is the specific role that a word, phrase, or clause plays in a sentence, and it determines what the function of the word or phrase has in that sentence. Some examples you can see here is subject, verb, object, complement, and adjunct that we can find in the transcript. The first sentence example is I want to get married. We can see I is the subject, and the verb is want to get. There is no direct object or indirect object, and there is no adjective. While there is a complement, which is marry. What is a complement? A complement is a word or multiple words that give information to add meaning onto the subject or object of that sentence. So if you take out the complement, which is marry, and you just say I want to get, it doesn't make any sense since the complement completes the sentence. Secondly, we have I'm not leaving you. This is a simple, basic subject verb object. I'm is the subject, verb is not leaving, and you is the object. And the last example, we can leave right now. The subject is we, verb is can leave. There is no object on complement, but there is an adjunct, which is right now. Now an adjunct works by adding extra detail or extra information in a sentence. So if you take out the adjunct, it can still stand alone as a sentence. For example, taking out the taking out right now, saying we can leave already still already makes sense. Next is the constituency test. Now, constituency tests are tools that can help determine if this group of words can function as a single syntactic unit or constitute within a sentence. We have multiple types, which are substitution, movement, coordination, and crafting. You can find three types of tests in the transcript, which is first off, substitution. Substitution is replacing a word in a sentence do something similar, like for example, a noun replacing to a pronoun. We can see an example, but I want to do it with John. We can replace with John by want to do it with him. The word him is still referring to John, but it just replaces it to a pronoun. Next is movement. Movement means when the word or phrase changes from its original position to a new position in that sentence. It is commonly used in past tense, but you can also see it in this example, meaning we can leave right now. While switching the positions, you can say right now we can leave, but even though the positions are changed, they still mean the same. Lastly is coordination. Coordination is when you join two or more conjuncts, so they have the same status in a sentence. For example, I will sell stories, I'll do anything, I'll cook, I'll clean, I work in a factory. We can see the conjuncts are being the verbs. Sell stories, do anything, cook, clean, and work in a factory. These conjuncts still have the same status and there's no like higher word or phrase. In conclusion, this analysis can help us build a much better understanding of English, morphology, and syntax. And since we have better understanding of this, it can help improve people's reading and writing skills by analyzing what this certain word means or what this sentence means in terms of context. So in morphology context, it shows how prefixes and suffixes can create these new terms, and by that it can increase our vocabulary growth. While in syntax context, it helps show people the clear order of words in a sentence to help us better understand and can help create thoughts more correctly and clearly. These are our references for further statement. That is all from us. Thank you so much for listening.